Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again for the second time in a week by Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. People are already talking, Frank, it's done. But you don't go on social media, so you're spared most of it. We're only 2 days away now from Joe Joyce, Carlos Takam. You starting to get nervous at all? This Cameroon Frenchman could derail your plans?
I'm not nervous because I think I think we're going to get is a decent fight, and hopefully we're going to get the best of Joe, and I think the best of Joe should beat him. But it's a risky fight for him. I keep banging on about it. He's only had 12 pro fights, so he's a bit of a novice as a pro, although he's fought at a decent level. And we know he brings a wealth of amateur experience, but it's going to be a tough fight for him. They fancy it. Joe Guevara, who's a friend of mine who looks after manages Takam, they really are up for it. We've had a bet between us, and he really does. He fancies his man big time.
How much is the bet?
I can't go into that. So we've had a lunch on it. We've bet a lunch on it. But Joe's, he also looks after Joe Smith, so he's he's no schmuck. He's been involved in some very, very good fighters over the years.
Now, the risk that Joe's taken actually grew a bit this week with the news that he's now the WBO #1. Obviously, Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk's finally been confirmed. Is that extra pressure on Joe's shoulders?
Yeah, I think all of this is. I mean, he's now in that position where he just cannot afford to slip up. It's not like no one wants to lose a fight, but if he loses the fight, he loses the opportunity. So he's really, really got to be at the top of his game with this one.
Now, both he and Sam Jones have said they believe Anthony Joshua will get past Usyk in September. Do you believe that too? I know you think it's a very close fight.
Well, as much as I think it's close, I think it depends. I've seen some pictures of Usyk. He seems to have bulked up a bit. And what for me, what beats AJ is speed and hand speed. He's got hand speed, but he's a small guy. And he's not gone up to the heavyweight division at a younger age. I mean, what is he, about 34, 35 now? So that's a bit of a late age to be sort of making that jump. But he's doing it, and he was an outstanding cruiserweight, probably the best in the last God knows how many years. He's a tremendous cruiserweight. But with AJ, if he gets caught, and he does get caught, who knows what's going to happen? What's
your prediction?
I've got to fancy, AJ to beat him, but it'll be interesting white last, and if he doesn't take him out, if AJ doesn't take him out, then the points will be very close.
Now, it's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Does that make you feel...
Where's the garlic?
That's what I was going to say. Does that make you feel differently about we've seen Joe at the Emirates this week?
No, I mean, it's just that I'm an Arsenal fan, as you know, and that's how it's been. It's nice for him to be there, and hopefully... look, Joe's got a long way before he gets the appeal of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's been a pro for a long time now, and he's a tremendous attraction. There's no doubt about that. But for me, it'd be lovely for Joe to fight for a world title there, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens again after his fight with Usyk, providing he comes through, what he decides he's going to do with the title, because he's going to be called upon to make some mandatories. Now, obviously, the fight everybody wants to see is the fight against Tyson, which is what we want. But in the meantime, there may have to be some decisions made. Maybe an interim title for Joe if he comes through. We'll see.
Is there anyone in mind for that interim title fight against Joe?
Not at all. We'll have to look at the ratings. But I mean, we'll see what happens by the time we get it. But I don't want to tempt fate. He's got to get through Saturday first of all.
Going back to Saturday, we've got Hamza against Ezekiel Guevara. I spoke to Hamza's new trainer, Ricky Funes, earlier today. He's full of confidence in his new fighter and says that one day he could get to that Canelo level. Is that the sort of potential you also see in Hamza?
I see a lot of potential. I mean, he's quite a unique light middle when you look at the size of him. He's very rangy, got long reach. But what I like about him when I watch him is when he fights inside. And normally big tall guys who are rangy, they rely on their jab and straight shots. He fights well inside, and that's sometimes a little bit unusual. So I really do think, he needs a bit more schooling. He's not ready yet, but he needs a bit more schooling. And with that schooling, I hope we can get him into a situation, in the next couple of years where he's at a real good level to take on some of the best in the world.
Now, also announced this week was a new set of shows on BT Sport, increasing their offering with Queensberry Promotions. This one focused on your prospects. something you've hinted at to us before, but now it's finally been announced. You can talk a bit more about it. Just tell us how it came about between you and BT.
Well, I mean, we've got quite a big roster of fighters. One of the problems we've had is because, like everybody, because of the pandemic, we was limited to the amount of fights we could put on a show. At one stage it was 6, then it was 7, it's gone up to 9 or maybe 10 now. But for these big shows, we've been putting on 14 or 15 fights. So you're losing those slots, and I don't think the Border Control are going to allow us to put on more than 10 fights per show now anyway. So we need another outlet, and we need something like this. Thankfully we've agreed with BT to showcase to our young talent, and I think it'd be good for them as well, because you can. Certainly for the viewers, you can watch the guy at the start of or very early in the journey in their career, and you may see someone you like and follow them. So I'm really pleased where we're at, and I'm pleased that the commitment to the grassroots level of professional boxing.
And something a lot of people have been asking on social media, again, not your favourite platform, but how competitive generally will the matchups be on these prospect-based cards?
Depends who's fighting. They'll be what they are. It's not going to be everybody going in and having a one-round fight. I mean, that's not going to be no good to anybody. They'll be learning fights, but I'm not going to be stretching guys who've had 2 or 3 fights or 5 fights. That's just not going to happen. Why would I do that? I mean, that's not good for them or their career. I mean, you don't see young footballers. I mean, like Saka got pushed into the deep end in taking that penalty, and he's a very young man. But you see, young sportsmen need to be nurtured and brought through at a certain level. But there'll be competitive fights on there. There'll be a competitive main event, and competition on the undercard. But anybody who's just starting out will not be thrown in the deep end, that's for sure.
And will the main events be kind of the young guys, but the ones who are on the verge of title class, the likes of Chris Bourke, who's on this Saturday's card, Louis Lin, people like that?
Louis Lin will probably, we are not sure yet, we will announce it soon, but he may top the card. That's not definite yet, but that's what we're looking at.
Well, that'd be amazing. But will it be those sort of fighters who you'll look to put in those main events? So the young guys who are just...
Keep them busy. I mean, as busy as we can. I mean, look, it's been hard for us and it's been hard for the fighters. Some of these guys have not even had fights. They turned pro a year ago. Some fellas have not fought in a year. A couple of them have fought maybe 2 or 3 times for various reasons. But, 2 times I should say. But that's where we are. So we're trying to get back to some sort of level playing field where we're giving everybody a job and doing it correctly, not just, as I say, throwing them in, building their careers and working with them to move on to bigger and better things.
And what does this increased portfolio tell everyone about BT's commitment to the sport and to Queensbury?
Well, they've invested in it. Their commitment to us is there anyway. I mean, we are their exclusive promoters. That's our, that's the commitment to us, and more importantly, the commitment we've made to them in being exclusive, which we did.
But they've added to their investment, which shows they must be happy with what they're getting, I suppose.
I mean, look, now and again you get a bum show, now and again you get a bum football match or tennis match. It just happens. But but overall we've done really well, and we've delivered them over the last 3 years the highest rating for a subscription TV. 3 years on a trot, so we must be doing something right.
Great stuff, Frank. Very best of luck with Saturday and going forward.
Thanks.
Cheers. Appreciate it.